I develop courses as well. That's one of the services that I render. So if you're hiring me as an executive assistant or virtual assistant, you're getting an educational package, so to speak, because of the other skills that I have: instructional design, content writing, content, course creation, and so on and so forth. Reason I like this method, and I think I'm going to try it a couple more times before switching to another method to see what might work better, is that in creating courses and instructional designs, people use other methods, like they'll just aggregate sources and then curate sources into a course, and that's fine. It can provide nuance in that course. But I think that one of the best ways to help students learn really quickly is to look for a seminal book on a subject matter and then have your class work through that entire book for the period of this of that course. The reason is because a seminal book contains a great deal of information. And if your students read a seminal book, especially a recently published seminal work on a subject matter, they would have a good understanding of roughly 20 to 30% of the entire field of that subject matter. So the secondary sources and their practical experience on the field will augment them to, say, 90 to 100%. It's, for me, it's much more effective than aggregating sources, even though I think that aggregating sources, being the most, like curating sources and using that to create a course, being the most used method so far in course writing and course development, is good and has worked so far. For me, this is something I'm exploring. That is just looking for a seminal book and then facilitating studies on that seminal book. That would get your students within a short period of time. Once they finish that book, they have like 20 to 30% of understanding in that book, just reading that book alone or studying that book as a class alone. By the time they do assessments, they do research on core topics within that book, they would probably aggregate their knowledge base to up to 50%, and then practical experience will cover up for the remaining 50% to make it 100%. So that's why I'm using this method. And if you're watching, thanks for watching, and I hope this helps you really. So this is chapter 8, and it's titled Gratitude. Confirmation bias is the phenomenon that whatever belief we start out with, we will discover evidence to support it. That's confirmation bias. Whatever belief we start out with, we will discover evidence to support it. A corollary to this is that whatever question we ask, we will focus on the answer. Okay, so what's it talking about? It says, in any situation, we can ask ourselves what is wrong here or what is right here. From an early age, our parents, teachers, and employers have taught us to ask the former question, that is, what is wrong here? They cannot be faulted. They had the best intentions. In the earliest years of our life, they were trying to keep us alive. Unfortunately, an unintended consequence is that we learn to focus on the negative, and so we continually see the negative. This leads to objectively very successful people being not fully satisfied with their lives, themselves, etc. If that is where it ended, I wouldn't touch it. As this book is about becoming a great CEO, not about maximizing a feeling of fulfillment. However, that is not where it ends. So the point he's making is that we have been trained, we've been wired by several forces, and these forces aren't malevolent at all. These forces are kind forces. Like if you have loving parents or you grew up in a loving family and you grew up with the feeling that you should always ask what is wrong here, or that sentiment that something might be wrong, and it's like someone like me who has a problem solving mindset. Like I just love the idea of problem solving things. The challenge is that whenever I walk into a situation or into a context, I tend to think that there's something wrong that I have to deal with, that I have to solve. And that is not always the case. What he's saying now is that this isn't peculiar to people like me who are so-called problem solvers. He's saying here that it's peculiar with nearly everybody. And he's adding this not because he wants to put a feel good element in the book, but he's adding this because it affects businesses, companies, and their operators, owners, or founders. What the point of this chapter is that we also should be asking what is right here. You do not want to work fundamentally always from the place that there's something wrong. Even though, as a CEO, especially when you're starting out, your ultimate goal is to provide value by solving a problem. You should also think about what is right, because if something has already worked, you don't want to spend your time rehashing the entire process or trying to come up with another thing that's going to work just as well. You should be solving a problem in this space. So that's the mindset like that many successful CEOs have. But now, for the rest of this chapter, is just going to talk about how we need to appreciate things. He says, it turns out that we perform our best when we're having fun and feeling good about ourselves. If you want proof of this, go to any kids' sports event where you know the names of the kids. Start cheering positively for the team that is losing, with specific compliments to specific kids. Great pass, Jimmy. Way to be in position, George. When a kid takes a shot but misses, good idea, Joey. It was the right thing to do. Within 5 to 10 minutes, the tide of the game will start to change toward the team that you're giving specific compliments to. He says, I have done this many times, and it has worked every time. Gratitude, asking what is right here, or just having the mindset that something is going on well, even though it doesn't appear like that. It's not just a good element. The point is that you've got to be grateful. And I think it's going to add the thing about positivity. You can already sense it's a positive, having a positive look on life, because if a children's team is already losing and you're complimenting them for little things that do not appear to be having an impact on the game, he says if you keep doing it for like 5 to 10 minutes, those kids could maybe equalize and come out tops of that match. He says if you're not a parent and don't have access to kids sports, you can try the same technique at the adult sports games that you or someone you know participates in. It works just as well, actually even better with adults. So how do we take advantage of this knowledge to generate a good feeling in ourselves? We ask the right question. What is good about this situation? I can't tell you how important this thing is, because um, in my experience, when you come into the room trying to problem solve, the people in that context are going to feel like, oh, he's acting like he knows too much, or he's the know it all who has come to change our situation and transform us. So they have that bias against you already, right? But that's anyway your job. That's the reason you've been called into this situation. Yes, but a trick to just calm things down is to give them like breathing space. I think as I talk about this now, I am currently in a context where I could use that method. Like, because I just walked into the organization and I've been trying to implement things, get things up and going. And the people I'm working with are people who've been in that organization for over 5 years. There's the same set of people, and things need to scale. We have new goals and so on and so forth. So there's going to be a change required to get things up and running. Already, I can already feel the tide against me, right? But what he's saying now is I should take a positive approach and just assume, um, more than assume, to ask myself what is good about this situation. I need to do that in this particular context that I'm talking about, and just slow things down. We're trying to course correct for the organization and to chart a new course that will take the organization to like a way better place, because already I already know what is wrong and how well the organization could be doing that they aren't doing, and I'm here to provide operational support to make things change. But then, if I continue with this intense problem solving approach to the entire thing, I am going to have another um, uh, point in the organization where I'm they're going to turn against me, um, so to speak, again, because they're going to feel like, oh, this guy is just telling us or trying to correct everything that we haven't been doing right, and assuming that we weren't doing anything previously good enough. And that's not the message I'm trying to send. That's at all not the message I'm trying to send. My message is very strategic. That is, if we have new goals that this organization has not experienced or achieved previously, and it is rightly the case, right? We have to do things differently. We have to optimize operations and so on and so forth. But what I'm learning right now is that you also want to ask what is good about this situation. And because if I take the mindset that there's something good about it, then I'm not going to be too intense about problem solving everything, even though that's what I'm out to do, right? But I could just use a feel good approach to the entire thing and then just make it look like, oh, something good. You guys have something good here. And my goal is to sustain that thing that is good. While, of course, I'm making serious changes, strategic changes in the organization, like just changing operations and so on and so forth. So he says, I should ask the question, what is good about this situation? What is good about this team member? What is good about my company? What's good about my life? Or we simply fill in the overarching statement. I am grateful for. I am grateful for. That's the thing. That's a big thing here. It's fundamentally saying I should look out for things that I'm grateful for. It says, be as specific as possible. Names of people, specific actions they did, etc. I recommend making this a daily practice. I do it first thing every morning. Like I think this too, when I pray, like I'm praying for better things, for a much better life than I've had, a fulfillment of purpose and transformation, um, how I can live out my calling and to support people to also do the same. But every moment when I wake up, I'm not averse to the reality that as much as I'm trying to make things better for me and my family and for my loved ones, that I have a better life. And so whenever I wake up every morning, and this is not just whenever I wake up, I just like to say I'm just grateful, and I think this is something I need to do a little more consciously, even in a workplace environment. So I'm grateful for my colleague, I'm grateful for my boss, I'm grateful for the new contract, I'm grateful for the clients I spoke with, I'm grateful for this project, this task, and so on and so forth. It says to remember to do it, create a trigger for yourself. A trigger is something that you will see at the time that you want to do the action. Using a trigger allows you to easily create a habit. The easiest trigger in this case is a piece of paper with the word gratitude printed on it. Let's highlight this. Okay, trigger. Take a paper and write the word gratitude on it. Taped to your night table. So if you have a night table in your bedroom, or wall by your bed, or mirror in your bathroom, when you see it each morning, you say the phrase, I'm grateful for, 5 times with a different ending each time. I'm grateful for my job. I'm grateful for my house. I'm grateful for my neighbors. I'm grateful for my boss. I'm grateful for the task. I'm grateful for this course. I'm grateful for you who's watching this course. And I'm grateful for the process. I'm grateful for, I think it has taken me long to do this. I've always thought I was going to do this, but it has taken me this long to do this now. But I'm also grateful for the fact that I'm doing it right now. So yeah, I think I've done my 5. So the point is, he writes You don't have to say it out loud. You can say it silently to yourself. The key is to be specific as possible when you declare what you are grateful for. Another way to make this a regular habit is to use a journal like the 5 minute journal. So there's a link here in the copy in this book. There's a link to the 5 minute journal. Let's just do that now since you're watching. Okay, so it's a book on Amazon. You're going to have to buy that. So keeping the book by your bedside is itself the trigger, as you will see it when you wake up and just before you go to sleep. If you do this gratitude practice regularly, don't worry if you miss days here and there. Your view of life and yourself will begin to change for the better. And soon afterward, you'll begin to perform better in life as well, just like the kids on the sports field. For the cynics out there, being grateful doesn't mean that you will suddenly ignore all the areas of your life or your company that could use improvement. Just the opposite. It only means that you'll bring an attitude of joy as opposed to desperation when addressing those areas. Life and company building don't have to be hard or painful. Daily gratitude daily gratitude helps us realize that. Realize what? That life and company building don't have to be hard and painful. We just got to be grateful about it. So it continues. The next point on the chapter 8 is appreciation. It says, appreciation is simply an outward extension of gratitude. In gratitude, you speak to yourself. In gratitude, for me, I'm speaking to my maker. My creator was giving me everything that I have. The things that I do not have, that I'm believing him to have, that I'm having, or that I'm getting. So that's between me or within me and my maker and God. But then he says that appreciation is speaking to others. Okay, so I also think now that appreciation is speaking to God. Yeah, I'm grateful within myself, and he's saying that appreciation is being grateful to others, and I think others here would include God. Because the content is the same. Okay, yeah, okay, that's good. When you catch yourself feeling grateful about someone or something that they have done, let them know. So you're grateful within you, but you appreciate the person who's made that thing happen. When you hear something nice said about someone, let them know. The benefits of this practice are threefold. The recipient will feel better about themselves, and we now know that, and we now know what happens when people feel better about themselves. The recipient will feel, secondly, it says, the recipient will feel connected and appreciative to you for having brought them this good feeling. So it says that the first thing is the person you appreciate will feel better about themselves. And then the person you also appreciate, that is the recipient, will feel connected to you for having provided that feeling. And I think that's the sense about, in sales, they tell you, as you walk into the room or when you have the very first thing you should say is a compliment, a positive thing about the person or the context, right? And so this thing about appreciation, oh, I just said right, I don't want to be saying right. Okay, I'll watch that. So this point about appreciation is that you are effectively providing a connection to the person, because as you tell them thank you, for example, as you give them a positive compliment, they feel good about themselves. And as they feel good about themselves, you are the person who has brought them that good feeling. So there's an automatic connection. And sales usually happens when we have connections. Like somebody is most likely, in fact, almost certainly going to buy from somebody that they have a good relationship with than from somebody who's a stranger and who maybe has a better product. So if you provide appreciation to people and they feel good about it, you get connected to them. That's the second point. The first point and the second point. Then the third point, it says you will start to view the recipient more positively. So it's like a loop happening here. So you appreciate this person, they feel good about themselves. First thing. In second thing, because you made them feel good about themselves, then they are going to be connected to you. The third thing is you're going to notice that the second thing worked, that is appreciation worked. So you're going to continue doing it because it is giving you positive results. So that's it. That's it. Like that's a 3 point loop. First point in the loop, or the first angle in that loop, is that you compliment the person with something that you appreciate about them, and then they feel good and feel connected to you. And as they feel connected to you, then you start to think of them and that relationship more positively. And I think they are going to feel the same way too. Okay, so it says the recipient, you will start to view the recipient more positively since you are now focusing on a positive aspect about them. Chris Frolick of First Round Capital, in his iconic blog post on networking, we're going to read that one. I'm going to read it. So if you have an opportunity, you should also read that blog post. Says that he reserves 1 hour each week for follow-ups and outreach, most of which include appreciations. I recommend that you do the same. He reserves 1 hour each week for follow-up, which includes appreciations. Okay, so that's a strategy that you can implement. That's strategy I can implement, right? Doing outreach and just saying appreciative things. Okay, and that's on networking. So I think, yeah. So this is really good. Just having this attitude of gratitude and appreciation for what people do for you can have a positive impact on the business in terms of outreach. Just as with gratitude, giving appreciation should be as specific as possible. As in this example, John, I appreciate you for writing down our sales process and adding it to the wiki. Thank you. Great. Sounds great. And when receiving appreciation, this is only one correct response. Thank you. There is only one correct response pattern. Not feign humility by downplaying the act with statements like, it was nothing. Anyone could have done it. No. The person is trying to make you feel appreciated. Anything other than thank you will rob them of their goal. Aha. Yeah, I think the strategy that that I've been doing, and it's quite odd, is whenever someone appreciates me for something, I'll just dismiss it with such statement like anyone could have done it, or because of my faith background, I'll just say, thank God, thank God. And I think thank God is also good, right? It's good, but what he's saying here is that what I want to do is to just say thank you to the person, because the person has told me thank you. I want to say thank you back, right? So I'm going to do that. So that brings us to the end of chapter 8. In the next video, we're going to do chapter 9, which is energy audit.